Good morning, everyone. And I hope what day is it? Wednesday. I hope your Wednesday is going great. My day on Wednesday starts super early. I get up first thing in the morning and I go to run a business meeting where I'm the president of a local business networking organization. There's about 30 to 40 businesses here in my local community where we do business networking. It's an organization that people pay to be in. We exchange referrals in the room, and people pass referrals. They meet to talk about issues in the community. It's a wonderful organization. And part of that meeting that we have on a weekly basis is we have an educational segment. And I don't lead that education. I have in the past, but we have an attorney that leads that education and a mortgage broker that leads that education. And this week we heard from our attorney partner, and he talked about one of the lessons from A Christmas Carol, which is an old story by Charles Dickens. You're probably familiar with it. It was popularized by a bunch of Muppets. And he talked about the interpretation from that story that we should have charity for other people, which is a great lesson and a true lesson from that story. But I wanted to share with you on a deeper level something that a lot of people miss from that story. And I think it's valuable to point out. So, in the story of A Christmas Carol, if you've never seen it before, you've got this guy named Scrooge who's independently wealthy, and the story gets set up when he bumps into a number of characters initially. And one of the sets of characters that he bumps into on the street are these two men who are raising alms for the poor. And he bumps into these two men on the street and they say, "Hey, we're raising money for a bunch of poor people in the community." And Ebenezer says, "Well, are there no more workhouses?" He's basically saying, isn't there a government solution for this already? Isn't there a solution for poor people in our community to have a way to solve hunger issues, housing issues? And he doesn't give them any money. And he proceeds on his way. And he has an excellent point. His point is not wrong. There is a solution in his community for people to receive aid. He's just a little bit rude about it. And he goes on throughout his day. Later on, his nephew Fred pops over into his office and says, "Hey, do you want to come to our holiday party?" And Ebenezer says, "That's foolishness. I don't have time for that. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. A bunch of people are just going to get drunk and get out of their minds. I don't need to be a part of that." And again, Scrooge is not necessarily wrong about any of these points. He rightfully points out that holiday parties do waste resources. They do use time that could be used for more productive things. They spend resources that could be used perhaps in better ways. And Fred, his nephew, disappointed that his uncle won't come to their holiday party, proceeds on his way. Finally, one more example. Bob Cratchit, one of his employees, is cold in the office and wants to warm up the office. And Scrooge is like, no. We've got enough heat in here. We don't need to heat up the office. Let's just work in the cold. Again, Scrooge is willing to work in the same cold office as his employee. So he's not being cruel just to Bob. He's being cruel to himself. He's exercising the same self-discipline that he is asking other people to exercise. He is not using his own resources and expects other people to abide by the same behavior. So what am I pointing out here? What I'm pointing out here is that on the most superficial level, A Christmas Carol points out the problem of greed. That is the shallow interpretation. We look at Ebenezer Scrooge and we say, oh, this guy has problems because he is greedy. But the real mistake that Scrooge makes, the real lesson of A Christmas Carol, is that we have a, a high performing person who is miserable, who expects everyone else to live to the same standard and live at the same level of discipline that he has decided to live to. He takes his behaviors and applies it on the rest of the world. Not always the right behaviors, not always the same behaviors that you or I would live by and say are morally correct, but he believes that his way is the only way to live, and he takes those standards and expects everyone else to live by them. That is the lesson of A Christmas Carol, is that he is unjust. So, this Christmas season, this holiday season, as you go through your life and you look around you, remember that we often have the ability to judge how other people spend their time, use their resources. But all of us have stepped onto the field at a different place in life. We've all got different time constraints. We all have different intellectual constraints, different family constraints, different pasts, and different futures. And all we can really do is try to create the equity in the world, not equality, the equity in the world that none of us were really afforded when we got here. And we do that person to person, one step at a time, in the best way that we know how, and not through judgment. That's what I've got for you. I hope you have a great holiday season. And if you don't have any CVRE, you should consider buying some. I'll talk to you later.